The stratosphere is no longer a sanctuary for the titanium giants that once dominated the world's ceiling. Silence is now broken by the roar of afterburners, pushing huge machines beyond the speed of sound. The sky is no longer just a transit zone, but a sentient web of data and sensors.
We are witnessing the death of the historic dogfight and the birth of a new void intercept.
This new doctrine destroys the enemy targets long before they even realize they are being strictly hunted.
This is the era of sixth-generation warfare, where the pilot acts as a sophisticated battle manager.
The wingman is now an artificial intelligence pulling maneuvers that would surely liquefy fragile internal human organs.
To understand the future, we must dissect the failure of the present fourth-generation fighter jet workhorses. Then came the fifth-generation era of stealth, introducing the world to the concept of low observability.
This technology shrinks a massive fighter jet's radar signature down to the mere size of a marble. Potential adversaries have developed low-frequency radar arrays and quantum detection methods to strip away the cloak. To survive in contested airspace, being invisible is not enough, so you must be spectral and everywhere.
We are moving away from vertical stabilizers and tail fins because the future is now completely tailless.
Exhaust nozzles articulate in 3 dimensions, creating a machine that looks like a shard of carved obsidian.
Beneath the composite skin lies the beating heart of the beast, known as the adaptive cycle engine.
During the transit phase, it operates like a high-efficiency airliner engine to extend the combat range.
When sensors detect a threat, and the engine reconfigures its internal airflow to allow turbine temperatures to spike.
The result is a violent injection of thrust, propelling the aircraft from subsonic loiter to Mach speeds.
Heat is the new enemy, because radar stealth is approaching its physical limits in the infrared spectrum. New generation fighters utilize serpentine exhaust ducts, burying the engine deep within the fuselage to hide heat.
Future designs may enclose the pilot completely within the fuselage, relying on a distributed aperture sensor system.
High-resolution cameras project a 360-degree view directly onto the pilot's helmet retina display.
Information floats in the void, prioritized by artificial intelligence, leading us to the loyal wingman drone concept.
Flying alongside the manned platform are dozens of unmanned combat aerial vehicles, commanded strictly by human intent. The strategic implication of this new aerial doctrine is the critical separation of the sensor and shooter. The stealth fighter beams targeting data to a missile truck loitering hundreds of miles away in safety. However, the adversary is not idle, as we see a rapid proliferation of advanced counter-stealth technologies.
Low-frequency radars cannot guide a missile, but they can certainly tell you that something is there.
High-energy laser turrets mounted on fighter jets offer a deep magazine and travel at light speed. These lasers slice through the composite skin of enemy drones or ignite the fuel tanks of fighters.
The beam travels at the speed of light, giving the enemy zero reaction time.
A single sixth-generation fighter can defend an entire package with an infinite magazine of light. Artificial intelligence processes thousands of variables per second and becomes the perfect co-pilot.
In simulated combat, the AI consistently defeats even the most experienced human pilots.
The future belongs to the swarm. Hundreds of attritable drones overwhelming any defense. Plasma fields can absorb or deflect radar waves, creating temporary invisibility.
Morphing wings change camber and sweep in milliseconds for optimal performance in every regime.
Direct brain-machine interfaces will replace traditional controls entirely.
Modular aircraft can split into multiple independent combat units on demand.
Hypersonic weapons arrive in minutes, not hours, making traditional air defense obsolete.
From the womb of a stealth bomber emerges the ultimate assassin, traveling at Mach 12.
It dances on the edge of space, untouchable by any existing interceptor.
The first wave doesn't destroy radars. It permanently blinds them with electromagnetic pulses.
Supercruise without afterburner is now mandatory because heat is the new radar cross-section. The battlefield is no longer points on a map, but probability clouds calculated in real time. Active cancellation chaff creates a false aircraft that perfectly mimics every movement.
Adaptive skin mimics background temperature and color, making the jet visually disappear.
The enemy sees 5 F-35s on radar. 4 of them are ghosts made of drones.
Inlets seal shut, and ram air turbines deploy when absolute zero signature is required. Thought becomes action. Of the neural interface fires weapons faster than muscle reflex. Turbine blades now operate at temperatures that would melt the engines of the previous century.
Contrail suppression chemistry eliminates the white arrow that once pointed straight to the aircraft.
Multispectral decoys create a dozen perfect radar clones moving independently. The canopy itself becomes the display. Ivly. No more bulky HUD projectors.
Gimbaled cockpits keep the pilot level during sustained 12G maneuvers.
High-power microwaves fry guidance systems without a visible flash.
Towed RF and IR repeaters make the missile chase a ghost 500 meters behind. The aircraft monitors blood pressure and redistributes fluids before the pilot blacks out. Even air-to-air refueling now happens completely undetected.
Expendable drones are recovered mid-flight by flying straight into a cargo bay.
Plasma coupling transfers fuel without a single radar return.
The missile rides a hypersonic sled and then separates at Mach 8.
Cognitive electronic warfare makes the enemy doubt his own sensors.
Metamaterials bend light itself, achieving limited optical cloaking. The cockpit is now inside the pilot's own visual cortex.
Future airframes may disassemble and reassemble mid-flight.
Separate aircraft dock magnetically to create a single flying weapon system. Quantum entanglement radar sees through every known stealth technology. Fluidic thrust vectoring allows sustained reverse flight. One fighter can deny an entire airspace corridor for hours. One aircraft can now spoof an entire naval battle group on every sensor. Directed energy carves a low-density tunnel through the air ahead of the jet.
Cyber takeover turns the enemy's own missile against its launcher.
The wing is the actuator. Smart materials twist the entire airframe.
Runways are now optional feds. The fighter becomes road mobile.
Every ship is now an aircraft carrier for these vertical lift fighters.
The aircraft literally feels danger through the pilot's own nervous system.
The mothership never enters contested airspace. Alas, only its offspring do.
Plasma actuators replace every moving control surface for perfect stealth.
Terrain masking combined with AI piloting defeats even the fastest radars.
Virtual heat sources make infrared missiles chase shadows.
One launch button now releases an entire wolf pack of killers.
The aircraft fights perfectly, whether the human is awake or not. Active noise cancellation erases even the sonic footprint. Separated by 100 kilometers, they function as one massive radar dish.
Unlimited loiter time through ground power via carbon fiber cable.
The only emission is drinkable water and zero infrared signature. Hypersonic projectiles arrive before the sound of their launch. The AI doesn't react, it pre-acts. Submarines now carry their own air force in torpedo tubes. 100 cheap drones become the most powerful radar on Earth.
The aircraft regenerates like living tissue.
Target packages are learned, not briefed. Designed to fight and win in a post-nuclear battle space.
One human mind now directs an entire robotic air force.
Lands on pure magnetic repulsion over any flat surface.
Loitering munitions wait weeks for the perfect moment.
The skin itself sees and projects in every direction simultaneously.
Nothing left for the enemy to recover or reverse engineer.
This is no longer air power. This is dominion of the void.
Magneto-hydrodynamic engines turn the atmosphere itself into propellant.
The aircraft responds to gesture and intent before the thought is complete.
Tomorrow's weapons kill the pilot and return the empty jet home.
The enemy scrambles to intercept a sound that was never there.
Denied GPS? The fighter simply launches its own constellation in minutes.
Doppler deception makes the enemy question the laws of physics.
We are seeing conflicting data here. It makes no sense.
What is going on with that signature?
The aircraft impersonates friendlies on visual, IFF, and radio simultaneously.
The body is just a meat peripheral. The fight happens remotely.
Light itself learns to turn corners to reach hidden targets.
The enemy locks onto a ghost that existed 3 seconds ago.
One platform now enforces air supremacy over an entire province. The missile becomes transparent to the exact frequency hunting it. bunkers 100 feet deep are no longer safe. Weapons release now requires quantum encrypted consent from multiple nations in under 200 milligries.
The enemy celebrates victory exactly once.
One engine, two modes, atmosphere to orbit without staging. The last thing he sees is his own obituary. The swarm becomes the weapon it needs to be in real time.
The edge of space is now the new ocean for air dominance.
Stored as vapor in a tanker, deployed as solid fighter when needed. Electrochromic panels instantly match sky, cloud, or desert below. If it misses, it simply turns around and try again. Liquid breathing allows sustained 20G turns without blacking out. One jet makes satellites think an entire invasion force is approaching.
Enemy defenses freeze, unable to shoot what appeared to be 300 civilians.
Nano countermeasures turn hypersonic threats into a brief sandstorm. The human brain processes more visual data than any screen ever could.
Satellites see a submarine cruising at 600 knots.
Land, drop the seed, and have a functioning runway in 6 hours.
One kilogram of fuel now equals 20 kilograms of conventional kerosene.
The aircraft is captured intact. Aft, pilot wakes up in custody.
Metal fatigue and electronics die of old age in 3 seconds.
It hides inside the blind spot it creates for itself.
No signal in, no signal out. Total communications blackout zone.
The wings become the infantry after the air mission ends.
The human body itself becomes the emergency generator. It simply ceases to exist here and reappears there.
One fighter triggers a full nuclear alert 10,000 miles away.
Wing sweep now exceeds 180 degrees when absolute stealth is required.
The enemy hears the sound of inevitable death approaching.
The jet is now the forward observer for the wrath of gods. Superconducting coils force the enemy array to look elsewhere.
The attacker becomes the fuel for its own destruction.
Even the shadow lies on a moonlit ramp.
Plasma channels become temporary MHD accelerators.
One becomes two, each fully combat capable.
A single jet at 80,000 feet turns $1 billion spy-sat into a blind orb. The message is visible from 5 capitals simultaneously.
The gates open for the wolf, wearing perfect sheep clothing. The age of air superiority is over.
Welcome to the age of air dominance.
The sound arrives long after the jet is gone. Sorry. Windows explode in its wake.
One jet becomes 30 identical ghosts on every scope.
Vision is now a software subscription. The barrier between air and water no longer exists.
You can run, you can hide, but you cannot stop breathing.
Infrared satellites waste their missiles on desert sand.
The crew dies of old age before they can press the button.
The loudest aircraft ever built, heard by no one.
Their airbase becomes a skating rink overnight.
Hands destroyed. Tongue becomes the new flight stick.
Satellites scan it and receive surrender instructions.
Their most expensive weapon destroys their most expensive bunker.
Fuel is now optional above 100,000 feet.
The target is hit before the trigger is pulled.
Air traffic control waves the dictator's clone straight to the capital.
Their attempt to find it only makes it faster.
If the body die, the mission continues in a new one.
Victory through engineered ice age. The population surrenders from ruptured eardrums. Distance becomes negotiable.
Light itself is deceived by active photonic manipulation.
Matter is simply told to stop being an aircraft.
Satellites see only the clouds that were there 24 hours ago.
Times they press the button to countermeasure.
Physics itself is weaponized for a 2-kilometer radius.
Range is now measured in milliseconds instead of miles.
Their own sensors become the infection vector.
The aircraft literally wears the pilot's subconscious.
It was never fired. History is rewritten in real time. Their economy collapses, chasing the yellow brick road in the sky.
Directed energy weapons now make it stronger.
Every dogfight makes the winner biologically younger.
Attention all units! By my authority, you are ordered to stand down and surrender your weapons.
Their leader orders surrender in his own voice, and they obey.
The enemy must shoot both, and neither is real until observed. Captured territory defends itself with living architecture.
Their air defense literally loses paint before it loses function.
It knows what he fears most, mind, and becomes it.
Air itself is removed from the flight path.
Their eyes in the sky become flaming meteors.
The aircraft becomes the lifeboat. The human becomes expendable.
Their citizens look up and see exactly how broke they are.
The missiles defect and return to their own bases. Matter to matter transit is now operational. The sun becomes the ultimate afterburner.
The psychological kill arrives before the physical one.
A contained singularity provides impossible maneuverability.
They are suddenly fighting themselves in perfect detail.
Their command collapses under the illusion of total invasion.
The war continues while they sleep, act, and then lose.
The sky no longer belongs to nations. It belongs to this machine.
Fighter simply refuses to acknowledge the Karman line exists.
Their pilot becomes a passenger in his own jet.
Line of sight is now optional at planetary scale. It doesn't reflect past medium-tabs. It simply consumes the signal.
The enemy never knows which one is the original.
Death is no longer mission kill.
Population surrenders because they haven't eaten in weeks.
Inertia itself is paused for 3.2 seconds.
NORAD watches a rock. What remains? It's actually death from above.
Desertion rate hits 94% in 6 minutes.
Half the observers see nothing. Half see a jet.
Their attempt to communicate powers its acceleration.
The mission ended 40 minutes ago, Monsieur. We're crap. They're just finding out now.
Their telescopes record the birth of a new universe. It's just one fighter.
I said give me manual control!
Negative. Stabilizing trajectory. The better pilot is no longer human.
Global diamond market collapses in 11 minutes.
Superstition does the rest. Morale collapses.
Visible from 9 time zones simultaneously. Their air force becomes art. It flies in 4 dimensions, while the enemy counts only 3. Matter obeys new laws when this aircraft is near.
Their celebration becomes their surrender footage.
They watch their own defeat, written in Cirrus, 24 hours early.
Physics becomes negotiable behind it.
The last thing he sees is why he will never go home.
Bye-bye!
The ground sees darkness long after the light has left. Their ears bleed from the absence of all vibration. One drop contains the condensed Pacific Ocean. You see it only when you look away.
One jet now controls day and night over a nation.
Rock becomes suggestion, not obstacle. A million years of decay in the blink of an eye. The entire planet looks up and reads the terms.
Observation is now the enemy's greatest weakness.
Chaos theory perfected as a weapon. They witness their future before it happens.
Their magazines become movie snacks.
They hear their own ending on every frequency.
Gravity becomes a switch that can be flipped.
The missile never existed in the new timeline.
War ends because no one remembers why it started.
It is nowhere and everywhere until observed.
Faith becomes the final casualty.
The weapons themselves refuse to fight. They wake up already defeated!
Even the sun forgets it was ever there. The war ends because the sky itself says so.
They are flying ghosts of aircraft that no longer exist.
Once the mission is complete, the weapon erases itself. The age of fighters is over. The age of deterrence has won. The war they'll never had to be fought was won before the first shot.
They prepared for the last war. This one ended in the time it takes to blink.
The most terrifying weapon ever built. Never fired a single round in anger.
Visitors ask what it is. The curator simply answers, the reason we still have a tomorrow.
From up here, you cannot see nations. Only one fragile blue sphere.
We built something so powerful, we never had to use it.
The greatest pilots were the ones who never had to fly in combat.
The sword was forged, then beaten into the strongest shield mankind ever knew. Sailors and children alil now navigate by the shape of peace. Two words that ended the age of air warfare forever.
The sky belongs to the birds again.
Weapons factories now feed the world.
The victor and the vanquished, both won.
To the next generation, it's just a fairy tale.
The targeting data was deleted the day peace was signed.
The only payload it ever carried home.
Silence has never sounded so beautiful.
They saved the world and asked for no credit.
Some doors are sealed so they can never reopen.
We celebrate the war that never happened.
This is what invincible looks like when it never has to prove it.